Also, it's not on my bio, I'm also a member of the Intercollegiate Athletics Committee for the University of Missouri, which it's very helpful for me to come down this way because I have to, on the way home, stop by Reynolds Razorback Stadium to collect rent since we own it now, since Mizzou. So, oh, see, that's how you do it. That's how you get the room all fired up. You're awake after lunch, right? I warned Billy I was going to start off with a Mizzou Arkansas joke, so. Yeah, okay, now that you're all on my side, we'll talk about this. So, guys, thanks. It's always tough to follow lunch. At least it's not pasta, because there's been a few times where there's been a pasta buffet and I get to see the underside of everybody's chins real well then, because they're just like, I'm just falling asleep like that and they'll nap jerk. So, ALTA, not ARLTA, but ALTA, the American Land Title Association. Raise your hand if you're a member. Everybody should be raising their hands, and we're also going to raise our hands a little bit later on TAN, which we'll be signing up for here in a little bit. So what do we do at ALTA? And by the way, I only have 3 hours, so I'll try to get as much in as possible. Right now, advocacy is our biggest focus. You might have heard a little something about title waiver programs and things like that. We're going to discuss that. So advocacy is what ALTA was founded on. We are your voice in Washington, D.C., not just with the legislature, but also with the executive branch. With Fannie, Freddie, the GSEs, it's even more important now that we are engaged with them because there's a lot of pressures right now on junk fees and other things like that. Do you guys feel like you're a junk fee? No? Is search and exam a junk fee? No? Before I throw them under the bus, any mortgage bankers in here, raise your hands. Okay, thank you. Yield spread premium, is that a junk fee? So, just saying. But that's what we're trying to fight, the perception of anything that's closing costs is just thrown in there and that's just extra. They don't know what it is. We also provide a lot of networking, educational opportunities, and also things to help your business run better and have you be a better manager. So, ALTA All-Stars, please stand up. Do we have any folks here that are, sorry, went too far, members of any ALTA committees? Please stand up. Stand up. Come on, Bobby. I know there's some others. Yep. We need more participation from folks ALTA committee. Okay, thank you. Let's hear a round of applause for our ALTA committee members. We've got SLARAC, which is state and regional leaders. We've got ALTA Government Affairs Committee, which is talking about all things national affairs. You could, if you want to be on research and talk about different things and programs affecting the industry, please go to alta.org and check out committees. Most of these meetings are virtual right now, so you don't have to travel to go to them. You can stay engaged and be a part of, the membership committee. Always looking for great people on membership. So please get involved with ALTA. So strategic priorities. Last year we had 4. This year we're more efficient. We only have 3. So championing the title insurance industry and combat regulatory threats. We've got a lot of those right now. Whether it's AOLs, whether it's the waiver program, even, you might not think this is a bad thing, but lenders being told that they have to pay for title insurance, what do you think that's going to do if a lender has to pay for title insurance? What do you think they're going to want to do? Open a title company, exactly. Do it themselves, keep that business, okay? Take it in-house, control their own costs, get paid themselves. So if you want to compete with lenders, support that. If not, let's support them a little bit and say, no, consumer, that's part of the closing costs. Consumers pay for credit reports right now. Consumers pay for appraisals. Title insurance, it's the same thing. Promote title insurance as the best way to protect property rights. Everybody here familiar with an AOL? Okay. Is there a time and place for an attorney opinion letter? Sure there is, right? So if you are, you just want to know what's going on with my property, do I have any easements, and there's no, you don't need title insurance on it, you don't want a full commitment, and you happen to be an attorney that is also has a title company, write an opinion letter. I know, do you guys call them letter reports down here if it's an uninsured product? Do you guys do those? There's not a whole lot of difference between a letter report and an attorney opinion letter, okay? The difference is when you start getting into the insurance aspect of it. Would you ever give somebody a letter report if they're buying a house and saying, you're good, don't worry about it? You wouldn't do it with an attorney opinion letter either. Why does title insurance exist, guys? Because attorneys die. Okay, I'm an attorney. I'm going to die someday. Hopefully not today, tomorrow, in the future. But when attorneys passed, what happens to their E&O? Goes away. Okay, and if you actually read some of these AOL contracts that they sign, if the attorney pulls out of the program, that goes away. Okay, that coverage for that lender goes away. So there are a lot of lenders working without a net with AOLs right now, UWM and any others. Now, in some areas of the country, it's very common. If you Southern Ohio right now, they're doing their Southern Ohio Association in Cincinnati. There's a large bank there that they primarily get attorney opinion letters for all of their work. It's just the way it's been done for a long time. So that is why Fannie and Freddie had that carve out. There are certain places where there isn't a title company in a county. They might not be able to get coverage there, or it's been tradition in a small pocket, not what UWM and these others are doing. So that's another big thing that we're talking with regulators on is the importance of title insurance. Did anybody here attend advocacy in DC this year? Raise your hand. We got a couple? Yes. That was pretty well done by ALTA, right? As far as our value for, so that is what ALTA is doing. We had records, over 200 people attend advocacy, which not only do we meet with our legislators, we meet with other stakeholders as well too. We've had folks from Fannie and Freddie at that we had private meetings with, and really getting all the stakeholders involved. And it's a wonderful opportunity to get in front of your own legislator and go from there. French Hill, big fan of our industry, big fan. So, in fact, my cousin did closings on his house years ago in North Little Rock. So, succeed through adaptation and innovation. We are a clearinghouse of our great vendors that we have all around here, all the tech that's happening. We are a petri dish of let's get the notaries together with the software providers. How can we integrate more systems together to make your lives a lot easier? So make sure you're talking to the vendors, because that's a lot of what we do is they're the innovators that we are connecting you with here. Okay, there we go. Championing the industry. We kind of hit on this a little bit. And by the way, I only have 30 minutes, and normally this is an hour presentation, so I'm going to talk a little bit quickly, but yet hit the high notes, okay? So I did not have it on my 2024 bingo card that we would be mentioned title and insurance in back-to-back in the State of the Union. Anybody think, oh yeah, we're always front of mind, in State of the Union. I was telling my wife that, and I'm like, could you ever believe that your industry would be like specifically called out? She goes, honey, I'm in education. We get called out in every State of the Union, so I'm used to that. I'm like, oh, fair enough, fair enough. I was not expecting us to get called out. And by the way, that was put in that day, just so you know. That was added in there because they needed a talking point on housing and dropping that. So if you actually read, we had the transcript and we got it right before that. If you read the transcript or the talking points, what he said was not the talking points. It was what was put up on the teleprompter was completely different. And if you read it verbatim, we're going to eliminate title insurance on federally backed mortgages. What does that really mean? Ginnie Mae's, they're the only ones that are federally backed, right? Fannie and Freddie, they're not federally backed. That's just the clearinghouse. So if you think about it, sorry veterans, no title insurance on your loans. So if you think about it, it was kind of a miscue on the teleprompter guy, and we found out about that after the fact. But really, it just put a target on our back because of the title waiver program that was brought forward. And Fannie was the big driver on this. I had lunch with Gary Funk, who is the director of product for Freddie Mac. This was already planned before the State of the Union. We had lunch the Monday following the State of the Union. Gary lives in St. Louis. I'm about an hour and 45 minutes from his house. So we met for lunch because we were already going to talk programs on how we can help first-time home buyers, underserved markets, et cetera. And Gary was so mad because the industry had been working very closely with Freddie on a lot of key programs. Well, that just all got pushed off the front burner for him, and this waiver program got pushed on there. They didn't ask for it. They don't want it. Banks are not going to want this. They don't want to work without a net. So They're slow playing the waiver program. We'll see what happens. We've got the NAIC fired up about it because what Fannie and Freddie are doing now is taking on the business of insurance. They're accepting a fee for risk. Sure sounds like insurance to me, right? So what can you do? Anybody here know a member of Congress? Raise your hand. Yes? Okay, and if you know a member of Congress and you are not in the Congressional Liaison Program with ALTA, please come see me while we're here and we will get you connected, because the most effective advocacy that we do is not in DC, it's at the grocery store, it's at church, back in the district, when you see your member of Congress that it might sit on financial services. Hey, by the way, what Biden was talking about is attacking my personal business that is right down the street from you, that's in your district. Can we have a talk about that? That's powerful, that's advocacy. Don't think that advocacy is walking into a member of Congress's office. It's talking to them at the soccer game that weekend about what's going on. They want to know from you. They want to know how Washington policy is affecting your business. And right now, we've got bipartisan support on a lot of this stuff. So it's something that's coming from the top down, from the economic advisors, just getting talking points. Unfortunately, we caught astray on that. So, but make sure, and we're going to talk about this later, Title Action Network. Raise your hand if you're a member of TAN. By the end of this, everybody is going to be a member of TAN, and I'll tell you how. By the way, we've increased TAN membership by 2,000 people in the last 2 months. It was around 7,000, now we're almost close to 10, which is great. So Fannie Mae excuse of AOLs, so remember this isn't simply the waiver program. AOLs are popping up as well too. In fact, I was down here in Tron, we were going around visiting agents when I got the call that Fannie had just expanded to include condos and other things. HO and PUDs and things like that. So now can be used in limited circumstances for loan on condos and subject to restrictive agreements or covenants. So they're expanding the use of this. That allowed UWM to say, oh, okay, we're going to hire our own in-house lawyers and we're going to have our own product and we're going to charge consumers 4 times the amount of title insurance and we're going to keep that ourselves. Sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah. It's a racket. It's a money-making scheme for UWM, which is under class action lawsuit right now, and also investigation by the Justice Department. So, Advocacy Summit, we talked about this a little bit, but we've got 2 letters from members of Congress from both the Senate and the House on opposing the federal waiver program. So that's critical. These are things that we are that we're working on very closely. Sherrod Brown has been key on this out of Ohio, on the Democratic side in the Senate, to getting us a lot of help with banking, housing, and urban affairs. Because are you guys aware of who's eligible for that waiver program? You have to have a credit score of 700 or better and 80-20 loan-to-value ratio and have to own your home for a certain amount of time. Does that sound like they're helping first-time home buyers? No. So you have to have owned your home for a certain amount of time, have a credit score of over 700, and have an 80-20 minimum loan-to-value ratio. Sounds like the wealthiest people only are the ones that are going to be benefiting from this. Kind of counterproductive, but it's a talking point. So the NAIC is all fired up about this, and they're taking a look at it. We've already been working with them in Texas and Florida, the state regulators, to say, okay, is this actually title insurance? It walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, okay? We've got ALEC on it. We had Incoil, actually. We were at the ALTA board meeting this week in Wyoming, and the executive director of Incoil was there, which is the organization for insurance legislators all over the country. They're fired up about this as well, too. Also, the attorney generals are writing letters on our behalf in support of this. So guys, this is what ALTA is doing. We're rallying all the troops everywhere. I mean, never, ever miss an opportunity to benefit from a good crisis, right? Okay, that's why I'm going to ask you to join TAN as well. Because the more people we have behind it, and by the way, TAN's free. I'm just going to start dropping a little more reminders throughout this. It's free to join TAN, and it makes it very easy. We'll talk about it. So junk fees, driving up closing costs, okay? So there's information that they're requesting. ALTA had a great response about this. Other companies have as well, too. It's essential to the home buying process. Costs have decreased an average of 5% over the past 5 years. Automation has helped. Automated plants, better software systems, et cetera. We're already regulated at the state level. So what we charge, for the most part, in many states, the state tells us. How are we going to adjust costs just arbitrarily? You can't do that. And also, there's plenty of fee disclosure. It's not like the consumers are seeing our fees the first time at the closing table. Okay, this is what I love. This is a dollar cost breakdown. So this is what it costs if you take a dollar bill to do of producing a title policy. 52 cents of every dollar is employee costs, labor. Okay, the expertise, our examiners, searchers, title data and tech. Okay, 17 cents. Office, 13. Compliance, 3. And I think Melissa can give you this presentation, I believe, if you guys want this information later to show your local bankers and boards of realtors and use this in your own presentations. Please go ahead and give ALTA credit. Thank you. Look, profit, 8 cents. You know what? If most businesses ran on an 8% margin, would they like that? Not really. Nope. So we're not Scrooge McDuck just rolling around in a big pile of gold here as title insurance, but that's what they think it is, because they don't see the hard work that goes into a closing. Most of the people they just think, oh, it's all automated. You just push button, get title, right? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. So Blake does it that way, but everybody else does it the right way. So, but compliance. This is actually going up right here. This compliance piece. That used to be a lot less. That's on the rise. So let's look here. This is one of my favorites too, though. So these are the costs breakdown by recipient. Government taxes, okay, is the largest. Then the mortgage-backed security investor fees, the lender fees, homeowner insurance, GSE fees. These are Fannie and Freddie fees for the loans, okay? The servicer, other, then title insurance, then the mortgage insurance, then the settlement. We are the 2 of the 3 lowest, and they might not even have MI. So if you take MI out, we are the 2 smallest pieces of this. You think we could find some better savings in here on some of the GSEs, servicer, and are we the problem? No, okay? This is what we are showing regulators. This is what we're showing members of Congress. This slide and the one before is extremely powerful. It's visual. It just smacks you in the face. We're not the problem. So one thing that we do every few years is the work study on curative and shows how much we are paying off in real estate back taxes, real estate and federal taxes, how much we're collecting in back child support, all the curative work we do. We also put out a great claims analysis that goes to everything for claims for the industry. And so that's really great. But also the economic contributions, how much we're putting back into our own economies. All right, let's see, we got 10 minutes. Boom, boom, boom. So here's all the stuff that we're putting back in. 36% of closing transactions require substantial curative work. Is 36%, do you guys feel that's about average? Substantial. Like, there's some things that need to be fixed. So you're a little over 1/3 of all transactions are messy. Yeah. Some of them is just, average stuff. I got to get a subordination here for a second. That's not substantial. But talk about standard hours for files, difficult files, etc. Average loss, yes, we do only pay 5% out in claims. That's because we avoid it. That if we were P&C, we would stand out in a crosswalk and have a stop sign and move cars, make it safer. If title insurance protected railroad crossings, every single one of them would be raised where the cars drive under and the trains go on top, as opposed to, we'll just calculate the risk. And that's one of the first things I learned in tort class, that humans are a commodity, and it's how much do they cost? Is it cheaper to pay the claims on a railroad crossing with just a sign, or put in the overpass and make it completely safe? So if it's cheaper to just pay the claims than to do that, just put the sign up there. It's cost-benefit analysis on risk. That is tort law. So And if you want to see how much somebody's actually worth, just add up all the pieces and parts on workers' comp and you'll figure it out. So I like to make, grim lawyer jokes every now and then on my people's behalf. So, but if you look here, this is a great breakdown, and ALTA has compiled all this stuff for you of GDP, how much we support, everything. So $82 billion of total GDP generated by our industry. 43 billion total wages and benefits. So 460,000 jobs supported. That's pretty powerful, isn't it? So that many jobs, and we only have almost 10,000 TAN members, we're going to have about another 70 here today, okay? I'm going to harp on that. Okay, so this is kind of the breakdown of where all the title folks are. On average, how many we have in every one. So all those ones in Iowa are illegal. So they're just outlaws, since Iowa doesn't have title insurance. So I joke. Let's see. I think there's a laser here. Yeah, right about here, you can buy fireworks and title insurance, but not there. Here, yes. There, no. Here, there, yes. Right there. So it just we got fireworks and title insurance stands at the Missouri-Iowa border. Yo. By the way, you got an hour. I do? Oh, I was told 30 minutes. I have an hour? Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I'll talk a little slower. Now I've got an hour. Okay. I thought I only had 30 minutes. Okay. That's good. So that'll be good because then I can have some Q&A at the end because we've got like 80 more slides. This is good. Well, we're going to do that too. Don't worry. Don't worry. We're also going to play Title Triumph if anybody's ever played that game. So, yeah, it's dusty in somebody's closet at the office. They're like, what is this game? Title Triumph. Don't. Yeah, it's bad. That was an ALTA fail years ago. We'll just call it that. So, a title board game. That's great. Let's do that. So, these are more of the research results, okay? Back $2.4 billion in back income and federal taxes. $600 million back property taxes. $55 million back child support. Amount collected per title examined, it breaks it down. $5 every file, back child support, 50, 200. We get paid to do the government's job, okay? We're doing all this, we're clearing this. They should love us, they should pay us even more. So one thing that we're looking at too is the Corporate Transparency Act. Everybody familiar with the beneficial ownership interest reporting on LLCs? If you aren't, you should be, and that'd be a great CE topic for the association. So, began accepting reports January 1st, 2024. How do you report? When do you report? I mean, there's all sorts of regs on this. If you're an existing company, before then, you've got a little bit of a grace period. But if you're a brand new LLC, so if you've got an investor that starts an LLC now for a piece of property, they need to be reported to beneficial interest here, to FinCEN. So, it's really important. So if they don't, they could be any senior officers of an entity that fail to file. Now, you don't have the liability for that, but they do, okay? This is a great opportunity to get out in front of your customers on this, on why it's important to file this. Everyone's familiar. Good. I saw a lot of nodding heads. And if you're not, ask the person next to you who nodded their heads. So FinCEN, just guys, this started in Miami, basically, and just kind of grew out. Money laundering. Real estate is the #1 way to launder money in the U.S. from foreign entities. What started out in large metro areas, it's going to be everywhere. Okay, so you're going to have to do FinCEN reporting on every transaction. There's no dollar threshold. It's cash deals. So it's not limited geographically. So before you had geographic targeting orders, Miami, Atlanta, Los Angeles, certain cities, Charlotte, that were hit, that were really all cash residential transactions, legal entities and trusts. Okay, how are they hiding money? This is going to be just a common theme moving forward. So if you want to know more about that, alta.org/FinCEN. And I know all of these I'm sure RamQuest, SoftPro, all of the providers of software are working on automated forms of this. I'm sure you guys are. Yes? Yep. So I know SoftPro is. They're trying to automate this process much better because I'm shocked a government form's a little bit clunky. So that happens. Okay, how are we promoting title insurance? Okay, NTRAPs, non-title recorded agreements for personal services. You guys ever run into any of these down here? The realtor. So a while back, you had a home builder that was doing it, that if you bought a home from them, they recorded a restriction in the deed that said when you sold the home, you had to use their in-house realty company or pay a fee for that. Did that ever hit down here? Maybe some spots? What? Well, that's the new one. That's the new one. Just like all frauds, there's nothing new under the sun. They're just figuring out new ways. But MVR is the one that if you use them, then you have to use them to sell the house again. They're now defunct, so they got basically sued into bankruptcy at this point. But ALTA is working really hard, and we already have 30 states that have that passed ALTA's model bill to address NTRAPs and to stop this. Originally, there was some home builders that did these, that when they would build a house, they would hold it up for 30 years on using them for the resale on it as well, too. So that, I don't know if that ever made it down this far. I know it was in Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and some other states. So heirs property. Anybody here familiar with heirs property? Okay. So what is it? It's, if you die without any heirs, it's out there. It's the public administrator could be dealing with it. There's a lot of property that's tied up that nobody knows who the heirs are of the property. They died intestate. So in the next slide, we're going to walk through the table of consanguinity, those of you that went to law school and did property, and we're going to see who's first cousins and twice. I'm kidding. We're not going to do that. And I think everybody that has heard table of consanguinity from law school is, sorry, property law. But it basically, it's challenging. At some point, we've got to get these properties back in circulation. And what's unfortunate about some of them, a lot of them are low-income properties as well, too. So what you're seeing is, in a lot of places, Atlanta is just rife with this right now because there's a lot of lower-income properties. People that died, they don't know who owned it because they can't find the heirs. And now that's just going into blight because nobody's keeping it up, and then nobody's paying taxes. It goes back into, it gets taken for taxes. And we know how easy it is to sell a tax property, right? Super easy. Because then you've got to go through the whole thing of a quiet title suit potentially because it's just an absolute pain. So ALTA is really working with the legislators to figure out how do we work with folks on estate planning, on having some laws that will allow us to get these properties back on the market because it's a lot of starter homes, lower income areas, and it's really hamstringing a lot of people that want to buy homes that can't. So discriminatory covenants, this has been going on a long time. So housing discrimination, this has been going on since the founding of our country as far as keeping out ethnicities, even religions, etc., from subdivisions and different areas. So it's different if, some of these restricted covenants, there's actually a purpose to them. It's a lake community that there's a restrictive covenant that the home on either side, that home buyer, if I sell a house here, the homeowner on either side has a right of first refusal because families like to buy homes next to each other. That is not racially, ethnically, or otherwise discriminatory. It has to do more with the people on either side have a right of first refusal to buy that home because it's not discriminatory. What you do have, though, is situations where you can't sell to people of color, certain ethnicities, religions, etc. These still exist. You might think, how is this possible? Just trust me, they exist. We're dealing with these all the, we're also working on federal legislation that could just wipe it out currently. It is illegal federally already. The problem is, just because it's illegal doesn't mean it's not being done at the state level. So we're trying to get ways to void these automatically and clear them up, clear the records up as well too. Because there are some that are still out in the records. Those were determined void, okay? But new ones aren't necessarily void. They're voidable, but not void. Consumer education. Okay, What do you tell your second cousin that you do? What's your job? When they say, hey, so what are you doing these days? How's business? What do you do? I'm in real estate. Is that the easiest way to say it? Or if somebody asks you in an elevator what exactly you do? Now, if Mike Pryor were here, what would he say, guys? All together, I sell title insurance. That's exactly right. So, which I still love that, by the way. That is good marketing. I mean, your elevator speech on title insurance, it's not an easy thing. So what do you do? Well, you know, when somebody buys a property and the seller transfers it to the buyer, we insure the warranties on the seller. I mean, we can go down that rabbit hole. Oh, and then on loans, here's what we do here. Blah, blah, blah. We've got to work on our delivery on what we do. And ALTA's, you know, we protect the American dream. I say that to my kids, and I'm powered by my daughter's eye rolls. She's 15, and just whenever I do that and she rolls her eyes, Dad, I'm like, okay, that just makes me stronger. That is dad juice. I'm like, okay, it just charges my battery. Yes, more eye rolls, daughter. Yes, more, give me that Blair. But it's something where consumers need to understand what we do. Because if nobody knows what we do, are we relevant? No. So it's not just our regulators. I mean, you'd be surprised how many of our regulators don't know what we do, okay? When we're in D.C. talking to the staffers at a lot of these federal agencies, how many of them actually do you think have bought a home? Probably 15%. So most of these staffers that we're dealing with have never bought homes. They can't afford them in D.C. They're younger. So we've got to sell it not only to consumers, but to the staffers, because that's who really makes the policy in a lot of this. The important issues bubble up. So we've got to do a better job with consumer education on the value of title insurance, so that when somebody comes to closing and says, well, what's this title insurance? Why do I need it? That they don't even say that. Or you at the closing table, you have a great response. One of my favorite responses is, do you know the person you're selling the house, that you're buying the house from? No. Well, are you willing to trust their word that everything's good with the house as far as their ownership and moving forward? No. That's title insurance. You don't need to trust them, you just need to trust us. Pretty simple, right? And it's backed with an insurance policy. Trust me. Don't trust the seller, trust me. ALTA good deeds, okay? Mary O'Donnell, president of Westcor, championed this. You guys might not remember, we had a little thing called COVID in 2020 that caused a little hiccup on overall business for a little bit. Well, we did not have an ALTA 1 that year, so instead of the money being spent on the convention, all the underwriters, agents, vendors, we decided, you know what? This is a good opportunity to start a foundation to help those in the communities that we serve. So as a result, we started the ALTA Good Deeds Foundation. So we've raised over $1 million, awarded over 800,000 to 140 groups. If you have a housing-based charity in your market, apply. If you want to donate, you can text Good Deeds to 44321 to donate. Guys, it's really cool to see what ALTA is doing with this, from everything from veterans housing to low-income housing, housing education, etc. It's giving back to the community. So anybody here is eligible if you've got some,
Yeah, what I was going to say, I mean, they've helped, organizations in this area too. I'm working for the Ronald House Charities. We're able to get a Good Deeds grant.
Yep.
I know that one of my business partners, same thing for Habitat for Humanity in this area too. So.
And I think next up we might have a, let's see. Is this, I think this is one of our videos. Nope. Oh, don't go all the way. Come back. Sorry, something's changing here. Well played, sir. All right, my video is gone. It was there when we tested, I swear. So we got a great video on this, and the first slide showing up. Okay. We're having a little corruption on the Good Deeds Foundation video. We'll figure it out. Okay. It's a really good video, too, really high production value. So when we talk adaptation innovation, when you think of that, what does that come to mind in title insurance? We're not exactly the most tech-focused. You know, blockchain has supposed to have been put us out of business for the last 5 years, right? Oh, blockchain's going to end title. AI, in title, all of this. Well, yes and no. How can we harness these things for us? One thing that we need to focus on, though, is digital closings. And when we talk digital closings, some people think, oh, these are online closings. Online. No, it's not just online closings, remote. It's digital closings as well. Has anybody here closed a digital mortgage yet? Okay, one. I guarantee you in the next 3 years, most of your hands are going to go up. Everybody know what a digital mortgage is? Okay, digital mortgages are completely paperless. E-note, exactly. This is the e-note. Not all banks are with e-notes yet. In fact, Fannie and Freddie are just now coming out with rules that will allow commingling of e-notes and standard notes. So an e-note is a 100% digital note and mortgage. Everything across the board. No paper at all. Everybody equipped to handle that so far? Well, Laura is. So, but you know, this is the future. It's not, when we talk digital, it's efficiencies. It's not having to fax a packet back or FedEx it. It's MISMO standards, standardization of forms in our industry on being able to get our products across different mediums easier. At ALTA, we're working on ways with the different software providers to be able to get commitments from one place to another. Standardization of CPLs. That's another big one that we're working on right now. So, but when we talk of digital versus or remote closings as share of all transactions, 7% in 21, 10% in 2022. That's a bigger jump than you think. So businesses conducting digital and remote closings, 61% of businesses have conducted it so far. Share of businesses offering RON. In 2021, 30%. Now, 51%. That's offering. That they might not close that many because, you know, only certain circumstances should you use RON, okay? We're running into more seller impersonation fraud. And just please, just whatever you do, just don't do mail outs anymore, ever. Don't mail stuff, especially on sales. That's the quickest way to get a seller impersonation fraud. There are if they're in Florida or somewhere else, call your underwriter, call an agent friend, find an office for them to go into and sign in front of a live person. Don't do mail-offs, especially for purchases, especially for cash purchases. You're going to get taken on one of those. It's going to happen. So digital payments. This is really exciting because now with FedNow or real-time payments, you could close a transaction at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. Wouldn't that be great, guys? Super. We can work every day of the week. No more of the, sorry, Fed wire closed. We're out. Happy hour. So, yeah. But honestly, with the new payment rails, with wire transfers, RTP, that's real-time payments, FedNow and ACH, it's just becoming more and more efficient and safer. Wire transfers, it's clunky. It's rife for fraud. With real-time payments and FedNow, it's more like the nuclear subkey. Offer, acceptance. You have to have both on both sides. It can't simply be, okay, I'm just going to send this wire off, hope it goes where it's supposed to. Do you guys still have banks that are too small to have their own wire department and they use a correspondent lender? Another place that is rife for fraud. We've had agents in Missouri, Kansas, Tennessee, other places that have had wires diverted for payoffs because the correspondent lender wire instructions were hacked and sent. So somebody sent $250,000 payoff to what they thought was that title company's account at a larger bank when it wasn't. So it's not just the borrower's accounts that are getting diverted, it's the wire accounts. So be careful when you're using the correspondent. If it looks different, if you work with that title company a lot and their wire instructions are different, you might want to pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, I noticed we've done 10 deals with you in the last year and these instructions are now new. Did you guys change banks? Did you guys change accounts in the bank? What happened? So be vigilant on that. ACHs, I know ALTA best practices. I was on the executive committee when we wrote these. ACHs were not very common back then. Much more common now on an ACH push. Not a pull out of your escrow account, but a push. Secure ACH. Municipalities are using them. There are some companies that do collections, that's all they accept. So secure ACHs, they're okay, all right? But state law research, right now good funds laws are crazy all over the place. I just testified in the Missouri Senate Banking Committee. We got it passed this year. It specifically said wire, not electronic transfer for good funds. So good funds required a wire. It under the definition, excluded FedNow and real-time payments and ACH. So we had to update those laws. Ohio was even more restrictive on this. So make sure that when you look at the good funds rules, if you happen to be in multiple states, that if you want to use RTP or FedNow, I'm a little bit ignorant on Arkansas's good funds rules. Is there an issue with using, or does it need to be updated? What's the good funds rule here? Does it specifically say wire? Immediately, so it doesn't say the word wire, it's just immediately available funds. Okay, so you guys wrote a broad enough rule then that it would appear that RTP and FedNow should work. So good job. You guys are okay. So who's going to win the Super Bowl this year if you guys are that smart about the future? I would we'll talk later at the bar. But that's really important though, because a lot of state laws, it's very slow to get them changed. And companies might want to use it. We ran into that in Missouri this last year. The companies wanted to use RTP because now the limit's $1 million. Before it was like 10,000, then 50, then it went up. It's now a usable system. Some banks want to use it, but they couldn't. So they had to sit on it until everything cleared. So we're working on, ALTA's got a model law that enables all the states to use it. So, all right, we're going along here. Okay, here are all the places, good funds laws and regulation. Arkansas, you're good. Lender funding requirements only. ACH expressly permitted in certain states, Ohio, DC. Those other states don't have good funds laws. Kind of scary, right? Yeah. I mean, there's no rules in Wyoming. I just came from there, so you can do whatever you want there anyway. So ALTA has a lot of good information about this on technology, on the good funds. Also talk to your underwriters and your software providers because they're building out more and more integrations every day with real-time payments, et cetera. But there's a good fund laws chart. We've got all the uses on this. It's not just Zelle, it's not just Venmo and things like that. You need to be aware of how to accept money. Anybody use Zachem or any of the systems? Yeah, I mean, those were pretty revolutionary about 10 years ago, weren't they? Oh my gosh, I can take a picture of this check and get the earnest money. Now everybody's like, yeah, we're used to that. We've got that built in everywhere. Pretty much every bank has that automatic deposit now. So what was cutting edge is now the norm. Well, we're taking the next step. So fraud, you guys might be aware there's a little bit of that going on. So we're going to do a how-to because we're going to make more money in fraud than we are in title insurance. So the next 20 minutes, I'm going to teach you how to commit fraud. No, I'm kidding. It's just ways to be, the illegal sellers. What used to be, they would prey on like an Ocwen or a Deutsche Bank on a bank-owned property that was vacant. They're attacking non-vacant properties. Everybody's aware of just what happened with Graceland, right? Okay, and if you're not, I'm going to tell you about it. So, because apparently there was a Nigerian fraudster who bit off a little bit more than he can chew. This is the case of you're the dog that catches the car. What do you do with it after you caught it? Uh-oh. So a Nigerian fraudster filed a false mortgage, a fake mortgage on Graceland, of all places. What is your exit strategy on this? It's not like it's a non-known property here, okay? So they filed a mortgage on Graceland with a fake signature from Lisa Marie Presley on it, and went to foreclose on it. And Riley Keough, who is Elvis's granddaughter, fought it in court and won, and I loved. Hold on, I just got to bring this out because it was an absolute, one of the best quotes from a fraud. The newspaper actually got a hold of the fraudster. Yes, because they got served. So this is what the fraudster said. This is their quote in the New York Times. Yes. Okay, hold on. This is worth the wait. Trust me. They didn't. They filed foreclosure procedure here, so. Yes, and then they started, and then they sued a quiet title suit on that. Okay, where is the quote? Sorry, it's just so dang good that this guy was so bold. I responded to the quote to the group, to the ALTA board on this. Let me go to my sent mail, sorry. This is the best part of my presentation right now is me looking at my phone, so it's only up from here. Yes. It was post policy, so we would not have insured it. So. Okay, here we go. I got it now. Okay, here it is. The writer said he was an identity thief, a ringleader on the dark web with a network of worms placed throughout the United States. In an email to the New York Times, he said his ring preyed on the dead, the unsuspecting, and the elderly, especially those from Florida and California, using birth certificates and other documents to discover personal information that aided their schemes. We figure out how to steal. That's what we do. I just love the fact that they're so brash just to say, yeah, New York Times, this is what we do. Try and catch, and they're bold. Yeah, the mission statement, we steal, that's what we do. These are the people we're up against, though, guys. It's not just that vacant property. We've had situations where they were at a closing, and the real owner called them because their neighbor just happened to see some people walking on the back 40 of some land that they had. So it could be, just ag land. It could be a vacation home. Usually it's not seller occupied simply because if a realtor is showing your house and you're in it, that's a red flag on whether your property could be subject to fraud if somebody's in to show the house. Now, if you're interested in selling, you might just ask them, well, how much you give me for the house? You might just lead them to you. But that's something that's really important. Mail away closings. If they refuse to show, even say, hey, I want to Zoom with you because I've got some questions for you and it's just easier to do that. Here, I'm going to send you this Zoom link. If they won't do that, red flag. Okay? Get them on camera. If you guys are smart people. I would say the hairs on your head, I can't do that. On the back of your neck, stand up, okay? Trust your gut on these. You've done so many transactions. A cash deal in a community that doesn't get cash deals, that this deal just seems too good to be true. The house next door, you just sold for $180,000 3 months ago. This one's going for $275,000, and it's basically the exact same house. Why? Cash deal? Something's up here. Okay? To an out-of-state buyer or out-of-country buyer as well too, just be vigilant because they literally are preying on more rural areas, the deceased. If you've got a a death in the chain of title, they're preying on that. And they have no fear because they're usually not located in this country. They're in non-extradition countries and Iowa. So, okay, wire transfer. Let's see if this will go. Tron, Joe Grealish is calling me right now. Should I answer that? My boss? No, I'll wait. This is more important. Okay, let's see if this will go back to the... Okay, my videos are not playing. So ALTA's got some great videos on... Let's try it now. Pop up. Slideshow, blow it up. Okay, well, we've got some videos, and if you guys want to... Oh, it's pushing back. It played the video. It was, for some reason, not playing up here. It played when we tested it before. These are videos you can embed in your signatures. You can send them to consumers. You can send, when you send your wire instructions, send them the ALTA video with it, please. It tells exactly why it's important. Because anybody here have a wire fraud issue or a theft, or know somebody that did? Okay. Did you have when you sent your wire instructions or gave them to the consumer, did you say, hey, this is the only set you're going to get, do not click on any emails from us? What was the first thing they did? Clicked on a fake email? Yeah, they don't listen. They're like my children. I'll tell them one thing, it'll just in and out. These people are not sophisticated when they're buying homes because the last thing they're thinking about is that. They're thinking about, okay, what paint are we going to paint this room? I need furniture in this one. They're not thinking about the important things, okay? So FBI, $400 million in losses in 2022 for these. We got a lot of new industry tools, certified, closing lock. If you haven't looked at one of these, take a look. Underwriters are coming out with tools constantly. Talk to your reps that you work with about what is out there. Protect yourself. It doesn't cost that much more money to protect the consumer. And in many places, you can pass that cost on as well. So with ALTA, we've got an information security work group. We're constantly looking at new ways to protect the consumer and different ways to protect yourselves for your information. You might have heard that that F&F and First American went through some cyber issues at the end of 2023. Okay? It can happen to anybody. If it can happen to us, it can happen to you guys. So do not sleep on cybersecurity. Make sure that you are protected and that you have a plan that when it happens, to get back up quickly. Backups. Backups, backups, backups. If you're hosting, host somewhere else. Okay? Get mirrored hosting systems or somewhere that it is secure so that you know that you can get back up if and when ransomware happens or a hack or whatever affects your system. Same thing with the wire fraud. If you guys can find it in the first 24 hours, your chances of success on recoupment are extremely high. And if you work with a certified or if you work with a closing lock, even if you didn't use them on that transaction, talk to them. We just had actually somebody that you guys know just had a situation where $125,000 got wired out to the wrong place. Certified was able to get them $90,000 of that back, and they didn't even use Certified on that deal, just because of their connections with the banks, etc. Call your friends. Do not be embarrassed. This happens to everybody. Okay. HR. ALTA's got a ton of stuff on online training, HR library, videos. Okay. What's really cool about this is with everything from training that we have. Examiners, closers, they don't grow on trees. How do we vet them? What's the proper pay structure? How does this work? ALTA has all this for you, okay? Anything on HR, if Brian Blackman acts up at a company party, how do I deal with that, okay? There's resources in there. And he was constantly, when we worked together, I had to worry about him all the time, okay? He was trouble. So he liked to light things on fire. I don't know if he's done that around you guys that much, but every now and then he'd be playing with matches in the corner. I'm like, Brian, no, stop it. So, but there's a lot of great resources in here for you with HR, which is the least fun part of the job, okay? Okay, I've kind of talked a little bit about TAN, okay? I also have a QR code that I can show you. You can sign up. Guys, TAN is free. It's free. It gives you information about what ALTA and what is happening with our industry. Also, when we have requests for you to email members of Congress, here's how easy we make it. You get an email. Please email your member of Congress. You click on the link. It brings up an email to your member of Congress. You verify your information is correct. You can add in, if you know them, a little note. Just click send. Done. That's how easy it is for TAN to email your member of Congress. I just got an email back this week from Josh Hawley, one of my senators, on his staff. Thank you for reaching out about this. We're looking into this, blah, 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 blah. You'll get a form letter back at some point, but if they get enough of these emails, it matters, okay? We inundated the House and Senate, especially the Financial Services Committee, when the waiver program came out. I think on one of ours, we had 3,000 responses to TAN on that. That's one letter that we sent out, 3,000 responses. Think of that. If you're Congress and 3,000 people email you about an issue, you going to take action on that, you think? Maybe at least look into it? Yeah. So I would love it if Leah, who's in charge of TAN at ALTA, calls me after this and says, David, I've never seen a better response from an organization than the Arkansas Land Title Association, because we had 50 new signups after your presentation. So help me look good. I need a lot of help looking good. So this would really make me look really good. Please, we speak with our voices and our numbers with DC. If we can walk into Congress and say, we are 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 strong in the Title Action Network, our grassroots organization, that says something to members of Congress. Remember, guys, we're fighting the realtors, the bankers, and other folks that will far outspend us, okay? But if we can have our voices heard, this is the way to do it. And did I mention it's free, okay? So it's also great. They send information about ALTA all the time, about what's happening in DC, and also state stuff. So if you're not comfortable going to the website and signing up, or texting TAN, I have a QR code on my phone, so find me later. You can just take a picture of it. It'll take you right to that site. So we're going to make it extremely easy for you to sign up for TAN. Okay, Arkansas, very important in Congress. So Boozman, Appropriations, Financial Services in the Senate, and then Cotton, Secure Notarization Act, has been very helpful on the Secure Notarization Act using with Ron, okay? WOMAC just moved to Financial Services and General Government, but the subcommittee. And then French Hill, who is a huge fan of ours. French works extremely close to us on a lot of matters, and it's been very successful with FHFA, FinCEN, and the CFPB. So a lot of oversight there. And again, my cousin that worked in North Little Rock for Realty Title did closings for him. So there you go. Okay, now here's the not fun part that I'm going to yell at you guys about, okay? 3 members. Raise your hand if you're one of these 3 members of Title Liaison. Okay, Congressional Liaison. Raise your hand if you're, so none of you are here, okay? So we're going to double this because I saw some hands raised of people that know members of Congress. 45 TAN members? Raise your hand if you're not a member of TAN in this room, please. Don't be afraid. If you're not, raise it up. Because when I said earlier who's a member of TAN, I didn't see that many people. Now, if you just join now, even better. I think we could double this 45. We need to be over 100 in Arkansas. How many title professionals are in Arkansas do you think total? 1,000? There was a slide earlier. Okay. Would you guys promise me this? When you go back to your offices, would you have your members of your staff please sign up for TAN? Brian, could you just challenge the group? I'm sure there's a prize of some kind that we could do to whichever company gets the highest percentage of their, you can come to the Arkansas-Mizzou tailgate. I'll host. Okay? Whoever gets the highest percentage of their...
David will promise not to disparage Arkansas.
I will not. I will stop making Arkansas jokes. I'm better at Kansas jokes, by the way, you know, because that's our true rival. It's the AR when we moved to the SEC, which, by the way, I love. So with Kansas, though, how do you know that you've heard this, I'm sure. How do you know the toothbrush was invented in Kansas? Anywhere else would be the teeth brush. Okay. So, yeah, why do all the trees in Missouri lean to the west? Because Kansas sucks. Thank you. Exactly. So, yeah. See, that's how you get a good, healthy rivalry going. And all. How do you get a KU grad off your porch? You pay him for the pizza. Okay. And you guys can feel free to use that for the old Southwest rival Texas that's coming back into our conference again. So it works around a lot of different places. So 2 Arkansas members have donated $2,750 to TIPAC in 2024. We have 2 donors to TIPAC. 2 in Arkansas. Okay? 2. TIPAC, the Title Industry Political Action Committee. This is how we donate to members of Congress. Arkansas, so in 2023, 4 members, $3,200. This is how much Arkansas received from TIPAC in 2023 and 24. You guys holding up the end of the bargain? Billy's back there like, yeah. So Arkansas has gotten 11,000, and they've donated about 6. You guys are coming out ahead. I think we could raise $5,000 tonight. Yeah, let's do that. I'd love to see that. If you want to talk TIPAC with me, come talk to me, and we can get you a donation form. We can do it right online. This is not a solicitation, by the way. I'm not asking if you'd like to learn more about TIPAC. I can talk to you because technically you have to be either a TAN member or a authorization by your company to solicit for me to make a solicitation. Everybody in the room would have to be due. So hypothetically, I can't make a solicitation about TIPAC right now. But if you'd like to learn more, come see me after this, and I can talk to you about it. So there you go. I did not violate any federal election rules in that non-solicitation. But seriously, guys, this is the reason for the season. This is what ALTA, without, and I'm very passionate about. I was TIPAC chair for 5 years, and we raised over $1 million a cycle, which is every 2 years we'd raise $500,000 each year for a 2-year cycle. This is where our voice is really heard. So if you can give $10, if you can give $25, I don't care. Please support TIPAC because it really matters when we go to the Hill and our industry is on the table right now with the waiver program. It helps if we show up on the positive side on the ledger. So ALTA rebrand. You might notice we've got a new logo, okay? The other logo originally started in the 30s, okay? So it was a little dusty. So this is our rebrand. It's really pretty. So website redesign, it's much easier to navigate now. You can find things much easier. We've got ALTA One, which is just outside of Disney. So if anybody wants to come down, it's going to be, right now we're already way ahead than we've ever been. There's going to be a lot of advocacy talk there, a lot of great vendors. You guys are all going to ALTA One, right? Yep, booths and everything, excellent. So highly recommend. It's going to be a lot of fun in Orlando. There's a discount right now, early bird going on, but do not miss this one because with everything going on in our industry, you're going to want to be at the table for this one. Boom, questions, anything? I know we might have 1 or 2. No? Is happy hour next or something? Okay. Laura, yes?
Will you share the Nigerian quote with Melissa so she can share it with all of us?
Oh, yeah, I will. So I'll send the whole article. Yep. So, perfect. Okay, anything else? All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Only went over 5 minutes.